I know that ritual is a very important part for you guys of your, when you take psychedelics together, you like to set up rituals. In fact, we were talking about one, I think yesterday, where you were talking about how you resolve conflicts together. Could you talk us through that, how you set up the space and how you handle a piece of conflict resolution with a dose or a microdose?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I think it bears repeating just because it's so important, at least for us and in our experience, that it's almost like our experience and our connection was already so energetic that the ritual and psychedelics and it, like you said, other practices, dance and listening and meditation, just gives all of that a place to really come together and make sense. And in fact, Brian asked me this morning, he's like, what if she asks you, what's the biggest thing psychedelics has done for you? And I was like, how do you answer that? And I realized in sitting with that offering was it's a container that's big enough for what was already happening inside of me. And so the way that it gives you access to spirit, information, plays with time, brings spirit close in a way that the human can grab hold of. It was like, oh, that's the truth for me. It was like I was already having this big experience of life, but it didn't make sense in a linear 3-dimensional world. And so the psychedelic, along with ritual, just created a big enough container for everything to make sense. And so that, I think, is with conflict, right? Conflict and conflict resolution, like the conflict gets too big and whatever container we have isn't big enough. And so we found in particular that psychedelics in conjunction with ritual is the sweet spot for that. So usually it's born in imagination first, which is something that we talk about too, is that the experience, which we call the journey, because psychedelics aren't just about in the moment of ingestion. It's about the entire experience and what's happening for you, and how, in my perspective, is these are living sentient beings, creatures, and chemicals. And so we are in relationship with them. And the relationship begins when we hear the call, just like a conversation would, with a human being. So, so the journey, that's why we call it a journey, because it's a whole experience, and you're different at the end than you were at the beginning. So for us, it feels like, I think this is true, that the ritual and the journey begins just with the idea. It's like there's this implanting, there's this sense of oh, something's brewing here that is bigger than just the 3-dimensional conflict resolution style.
Yeah,
does that feel true?
No, I think that is true. And in particular, the thing that you're speaking to, Jane, was we had reached a place that had a little bit of a communication impasse. And it was that we needed to communicate, in fact, about the fact that we were struggling to communicate. And so what happened is that then, there was an invitation. I think this is important. On that day, there was an invitation to, can we have this conversation? And should we use psychedelics, in this case, mushrooms? And so both of us checked into that listening place, and the answer was yes. And so the ritual that happened afterwards is that we woke up and then we prepared the space, cleaned the space, put a fire in the fireplace.
Your house, inside your house?
Inside the house.
Yeah.
And so the cleaning of that is like what Angela was saying, is the ritual is a container to hold the energy and keep it directed. And so as we go through the ritual, it's like, symbols are things that hold meaning deeper than what they are literally. And so as we were cleaning, it was also bringing us into focus. And it was bringing our mind, our emotions, our bodies into this place where we had set intentionality. And so the environment then supported it, because the environment was clean. It smelled good. It was clean. Like that was part of what the ritual was. And then we invited something that's so vital, which is the third. So when you meditate or when you come into relationship, you're inviting the third, which is the thing that's created between the two of you. And so when you invite the divine...
Wait. Let me just slow down with that. So the third it's not Brian, it's not Angela. Is it the relationship? Is the relationship the third, or is spirit the third?
It's all of it. It's the relationship to all of it, because, at least this is my take, and I think Angela's too, is that we're here to develop intimacy. And the intimacy is a relationship to all things. So my relationship to Angela deepens because we both listen to spirit, universe, the trees, the whatever it is, right? And so the third encompasses all of that. And if we're listening and we're good shepherds of the third, then we both become more, better, and deeper because of it, right? So it's like if we're both in consent and we've defined what the third is, it gets first priority. And because we've consented to it, it makes us more of what we are. Does that make sense?
So I think so. So the relationship is seen as something that is greater than you and that is sort of like a spiritual entity. It has a spiritual existence and it has the ability to connect you more broadly, more expansively to the world,
to all of it,
the cosmos,
yeah.